Welcome back to the Fire You Carry podcast. Joseph, it's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. I'm here.
I'm also always excited when you have no sleeves on.
I think it's 97 degrees in the recording studio. I have the door open. Normally I close it for sound. It's way too hot. So this is what you get.
Yeah, and we had, I always feel like a poser, but I got Dave Tebow's gym and competition jiu-jitsu shirt on. Oh, there's that spirit too.
For the YouTubes. What do you got? Hold on, I can't see it.
I got Dave Tebow's gym up in Santa Clarita where he's a black belt and an instructor. But you don't rock a jiu-jitsu shirt around. So I only keep it indoors. So if you people are thinking I'm being a poser, I am. But I just like the fit, and it's a nice blue shirt. And we got it when we went up and did a little Jesus and jiu-jitsu thing up there. He gave us a shirt, and so he was a really cool guy. The main Brazilian black belt, I forget his name. So I don't wear it out to make people think I'm a jiu-jitsu
Well, you don't want
guy.
someone to challenge you. But let me ask you this. So if hypothetically I were to buy some of Jocko Willink's Origin jeans, which I haven't done,
Totally
but
appropriate.
hypothetically if I did, that's not a poser move because isn't
No,
that like a
because
jiu-jitsu brand?
This says Marco Aurelio's competition team, like I'm on it. You know what I mean? Origin is just a brand.
I suppose I suppose that's different.
Yeah, somebody would look at this and be like, "Oh, you're on the competition team." No.
What about my favorite shorts? They're made by Ruka, RVCA.
Yeah.
I've heard people pronounce it Ruka, which doesn't make any sense.
Costa Mesa?
Okay,
born
I'm
and
not a
bred, yeah.
surfer. I don't do any of that, but those are my favorite shorts. I think that's also a fight brand, isn't it? Don't they promote
Yeah, they
jiu-jitsu stuff?
sponsored fighters and all kinds of stuff. It's a cool company.
I remember being really concerned as a young man about being a poser. Like I wore a lot of skateboarding gear, and I did end up becoming a skateboarder, but I was still not ever any good. But I was concerned about it. It was like, do I have the street cred to wear this Zero shirt or this toy machine shirt?
Yeah.
And I didn't really, but I
that's like wearing Ruka's some of my favorite board shorts. They make good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
you're not
okay.
a poser. But speaking of surfing, dude, I know we get down on California, but I had like this very my girls who are now junior lifeguards. They think that they're Bethany Hamilton with two arms, dude. They think they're super surfer.
Thank God.
But I said, hey, I have limited time. They start school back on Monday.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
both
it's
in
time.
the middle school. And so I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to do? We got one last family day with dad and mom. They're like, we want to go surf. All right, load up.
That's rad.
Now, we live an hour away from the beach. So
Yeah.
it is an operation. I had to get tie-down straps. We have 4 boards now, a long board, a medium board, a short board, a fun board.
Wait
And
a
then
minute.
Yeah.
What vehicle are you strapping these onto?
My wife's Honda Pilot.
Do you just stack them all on top of each other and ratchet them down? I don't know this operation.
You have surf racks. It's just a nice foam top that
Oh.
goes on the roof.
Okay.
And then each board has a bag, right?
Mhm.
So it's
Okay, they're in a
slightly
pouch.
padded. And
Okay.
then they just all strap together like a sandwich.
Is there
But
any
there's
kind
a
of
system.
separating device between them, or
They
they just
throw
touch?
a couple towels or whatever, no
Okay,
big
okay.
deals. And they're
All right, I'm following.
wrapped in a board bag,
Yeah, sorry, I totally derailed you. Go ahead.
But it's an operation, right? I mean, you got to have. So I said, hey, because of where we live, it's not an easy thing to just go to the beach for an hour and come back after
Yeah.
a surf session. So I'm like, hey, wife wants shade, so we have to bring a pop up. We have to bring breakfast, lunch, and then the compromises. We'll eat dinner on the way out,
Yeah,
But you got to have waters. You have to have
Mhm.
sunscreen. And for us, we have to have wetsuits. The whole thing. It's an
Right,
operation, bro.
Yeah.
And then pro tip, I have this giant insulated Yeti jug. It's like a gallon.
Okay.
And some like big people
Like
drink.
a water bottle?
Yeah, but it's a gallon.
That's a lot.
And I turn on the hot water at the house and I fill it up with hot water.
What?
Yeah, hot water. So when you're out, the ocean is still, it's really warm right now. But when you're in the ocean for a long time, you still get a little chilly.
Yeah.
Your feet are all sandy. When
Sure.
you walk back to the parking lot at the end of a long day, that Yeti keeps it nuclear warm. And you
Wow.
pour that on your head, your
You
feet,
rinse
your
out with
hands,
it.
and it's
Wow.
like the most glorious thing you've ever had.
That's amazing. I was
It's a pro
thinking
tip.
you were going to say something ridiculous like you drink warm water while you're doing fitness because your body
no.
processes it faster, which I've heard, but I don't believe that it's true because cold water is delicious. That's pretty smart.
But I
That's
had
some
this.
deep knowledge right there.
Yeah, it's a pro tip. But we had one of my favorite people on the planet is Billy McDougall, longtime paramedic. He's at 13s and he was at 41s for a long time. And he's just a phenomenal human being and firefighter. But he said, "Hey, we were going to go to the beach. We'll meet you down there." And so the McDougalls met us down there. And he has two, he has a teenage daughter and her friend that showed up. And we all spent hours in the water pushing our daughters into waves. And his daughter's got waves, her friend got waves, my daughter's got waves. And the ocean can be very intimidating.
Yeah,
And
I'm intimidated.
and when you see these girls light up, and girls specifically, when you see them know that that they're with dad, they're in a safe spot, but when
Yeah.
they got a wave and they took it all the way into the shore, it was just like pure elation and joy. And that makes me light up. It was really cool.
That's awesome, dude. You said something at the beginning of that beautiful story about California, and I recently have been trying to make a mindset shift about California because I can be just as down and negative about anybody I've ever heard when it comes to California, whether you're talking about the traffic, the taxes, the gun laws, the laws in general, whatever it is, like the homelessness,
Politics,
like there's
the whole
so
thing.
many things to be negative about. And I've spent a lot of years being super negative about California and being vocal about not wanting to live here. But my wife and I, for years now, have come to the realization that this is where God wants our family. We're not
Boom.
supposed to move right now. I'm not the guy that's supposed to be moving to Kansas, Arkansas, Tennessee, wherever else.
Right.
We're supposed to be here. We don't know why.
Mm.
It's not like God's like, I want you to be here because your son is going to, it's not that. So I've been trying, because of Philippians 4:8, I've been trying to focus on the positive stuff. And the thing that you just talked about
All right.
is one of those.
I don't have that memorized. What's Philippians 4:8?
Well, I was going to have to paraphrase it, not quote it directly, but it's the verse where he says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is pure,
just,
whatever is honorable, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence at all, focus on these things." I missed a couple parts, but it's this idea that we're supposed to focus on essentially the positive. And so in a quest to do that in all kinds of areas of my life, I've been trying to do that with California and just recognizing the fact that I can live. This is my version of the story you just told, because you do, even though it's an hour drive and it's an operation, like you have the opportunity to go there. You can go do that for a day. Whereas our buddy who might live in Idaho, or the guy I worked with yesterday, Kansas, they can't do that.
No.
And that's a big deal. And just recognizing the fact that I have the opportunity to work in Altadena, I can live on a mountain with clean air. I can take my wife on a date and we can drive to, I think we went to Claremont, and look at rad antique shops and thrift stores and eat at whatever restaurant we want, whatever type of food. It's all amazing. Like there's so many different things that are so cool. And then, the weather, the geography. I mean, it is really incredible in a lot of ways. Lots of negatives.
It's contentment, though. You're saying, like, wherever, I think we need more contentment. Like,
for sure,
what we have is enough, and what we have is beautiful. And
yeah,
we could make this work whether we were wherever we are in the world and where God has us. Like, but God has us here today. I should be content with that. I should be grateful for that, right?
For sure. And I caught myself telling my son, Indy, I caught myself talking to him about his attitude and how he looks at what he considers problems in his life, and how he can choose to have a bad attitude about it and be miserable and bummed out, or he can choose to go, I can't change this, and so I'm going to have a good out. And I found myself giving him that advice while not following it myself, while being grumpy about the traffic and angry about the homeless people at the off ramp where I get off, and realizing I'm just making myself unhappy for no reason. God's got us here. I'm not leaving. I can't do anything about any of this stuff that I'm upset about. So what instead can I focus on? And I'm baby steps. I'm still grousing about traffic. I'm still wrestling with it, but I do feel better just recognizing, like, hey, God's got us here. And no matter where I go, I'm going to be able to find stuff where I'm like, this is terrible. This shouldn't be this way. That's the world. But anyway.
and this is an interesting concept that I had to learn the hard way by pain, right? But like when I was in the throes of addiction, I said Long Beach is the problem. This city is a forsaken city,
Right.
and these people are. I
Right.
moved. Guess what? I had
Right.
the same problems in
Yeah.
Ventura,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, wherever you go, there you are, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you think that, hey, this will fix your problem. But if you haven't done like some inner work, or you have a faith, a family, fitness, career, the service, the whole thing, like, if you haven't done that work, you're going to be your own problem wherever you go. I'm speaking to myself. So I feel like no matter where I go, there I am. I better do the work to make sure that I'm comfortable in my own skin here, now, today.
Yeah.
So
So
I had this
find
epiphany.
something to appreciate wherever you're at.
So after hours of doing, you're being of service. We're helping the kids, and it was really joyful to like watch them do their thing. But of course, then you got to get the sandwich, and you got to make sure there's no sand on it, and then the wife needs something, and there's a lot of activities, and then I got to carry all the stuff down. So a couple trips to the beach, and at some point in the afternoon, everybody's cool. The girls are cool. The wives are cool. Billy's like, hey, can we get a little session? And ourselves, the wives approved it. And then
you have our blessing.
We grabbed boards and we went out. Now, the waves were not good, but it's 75 degrees. The water's probably 73 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And in the surfing world, it's called trunking it, when you can just wear board shorts, no t-shirt.
Okay, yeah.
It's a very unique time in late summer in the very south San Diego that you can do this. Normally, the Pacific Ocean is in the 50-degree range or 60-degree range, and you have
so you can't stay
wetsuits
in there. Yeah,
all the time.
right.
And everybody's jealous of these Hawaiians because they can trunk it all year long, and they're just these natural, rad, buff, bronze, and beautiful dudes.
Of course.
Billy and I trunked it. The waves are not good, but we're hooting and hollering, sharing waves, party waves. He's getting one, I'm getting one, and we're going out. And there's really not anybody out there because it was really windy and the waves weren't great. But I had this thing that there has to be something about us being literally sitting in nature. There has to be something about grounding, like in water.
Yeah.
The sun is shining. There's animals beneath your feet. I felt the power of God's universe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And more than anything, I'm just sharing this really fun thing with a dude that I love and respect. And it was, it's nothing to write home about. I got a couple waves. He got a couple waves, but I realized like, oh, this is my happy place. Like yours, I realized, is the mountains, and that's where you feel peace and serenity. And I was trying to figure out why, but I remember when I was growing up, that was an escape for us. We had like me and a couple buddies that would always go to the beach and get in the water. I was a terrible surfer, but it was an escape. It was freedom, and it was like a reprieve from the daily chaos of home. And I remember it wasn't like a competitive thing. I wasn't trying to go pro. We were just hooting and hollering for each other if we got something good or if we didn't. And that had like, I had this deja vu flashback to when we were like 15 years old. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, this is it. This is a cool thing. Like this is, I realized I never put I'm not mature enough at 15 to realize that what was going on. But at 47, I can really appreciate an hour and a half in the water with a buddy, hooting and hollering and terrible waves, and like realizing that, oh, this is because no matter, we got a lot going on, and I did not think about anything. It was just very joyful to be in the water. And this might sound crazy to you, but when you have to get out into the break and you have to go to where the surf breaks, you have to go under the waves. It's called duck diving.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've never done it. I've seen it.
When you grab his board and you start paddling out, you're hot and dry. And the first set that comes in, you hold your breath and you go underneath the water. It's almost baptismal.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
But when the water rolls over your head and you come out in your first breath and the sun is shining in your face, if you can't feel like a spiritual presence at that point, I don't know, man. And I know there's a lot of douchey cultural things about surfing, and there's like these terrible like culture about you snake my wave, bro, and there's like can be aggressive.
Yeah.
But yesterday was none of that, and it was really cool. So long-winded, but I really enjoyed it. And I was like, it made me content and grateful, and said, if I can do this with a friend more often, I'd love to do it.
That's rad. That's rad. It's a good experience.
Well, I'm just like, this is the largest curveball in the world, and I don't have any expertise or homework in this, but um, I wanted to talk to you about the thought of tough love. Tough love. And it's an interesting, because I know for my kids, like, I know what I believe is right or wrong, or what's the best path for them. And it's usually based on my own experience, that I failed at this miserably. But I realized a lot recently that I've been sheltering them from these things and saying, just listen to me. I know this is the way, And in my own family, we all have family members that struggle, and I have some that are struggling right now. Watching other family members enable them, like paying their bills or making excuses for them. And it's almost a codependency there. Like, I can see that it's stunting their growth. It's stunting, like, them feeling the actual pain so that they can actually get better. And I do believe that, like, pain is the touchstone of all growth. And it's an interesting concept, because I can judge them and say, you're enabling them. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. But on a micro level at home, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Yeah. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah. It's a tough. This kind of, for me, gets into a realm where I have to be careful how I talk about certain things, because my examples, like yours, come from my family, and it's that question, right, of how much do we talk about our kids and what they're struggling with on this podcast, that they don't have a chance to be here to represent themselves or choose what we talk about. So obviously we leave a lot of the details out. But yeah, I will say that for me, I'm in a place where there's been a few instances recently where the older two have wanted to do something financially that, in Heather and I's mind, doesn't make a lot of sense based on, what their current stated goals are, which is to get married and move out on their own and start their own life. That requires a certain set of financial actions, and yet, they're young people wanting to do young people things. And so they're like, well, I'm going to go do this. And you're like, well, if you look at the amount of money that's going to cost you and the amount of money you make, all you're doing is extending out the time to get to where you're saying you want to be. And I've done exactly what you're talking about, and it's not great.
No.
But then having the ability, the necessity to let them do those things and let them, quote unquote, make those mistakes so that they can learn from them, is something that we actively talk about. But then when it comes to Indy, who's much younger, we're definitely more in a phase of, no, you can't do that. And when he asks us why, it's, well, just because we said so, because we either don't want to take the time to explain it. And I shouldn't say we, I should just say me. Heather handles all this stuff better than I do, but yeah, there is that line where they get to a certain age and you just know, or at least I just know from experience, that if they're anything like me, it's not really going to matter what I say or how I instruct them. If it's something that they want to do, the lesson of what happens by doing that isn't really going to land.
No.
Unless they do it, and you can't protect them forever. But where do you start letting them have that leash? Because if I let Indy, if I let him run his life, he'll just be on the video games all day. He's not going to feel or experience any consequences to that personally until he's much older in life and is a deadbeat on the couch playing video games all day. And he may not ever even be able to connect those two things, right? So you got to be careful how you implement that. But you've got to find those places to let them learn those lessons.
Yeah, it's a delicate, unknown world, right? Like I hate to say it, but you're better at this, but I'm using some AI stuff now, and it's fairly fascinating.
It is scary.
But ChatGPT told me earlier when I was trying to help a family member, it says common signs of codependent enabling behavior. 1, protecting them from their consequences For example, paying their bills, covering for missed work, things like that. Number 2, keeping secrets about their substance abuse, right?
Yeah.
Number 3, not following through on boundaries or consequences.
Yeah.
Number 4, making excuses for their behavior. And then this is 5, was avoiding the topic or withdrawing emotionally.
I do a lot of that.
I've done all these things, right? I've done all these things at different times. And so I could point from afar and say, hey, you guys are doing this. But I've done all those things at certain points. Like, and it's interesting dynamic to think about, oh, okay, like, hey, those are common enabling behaviors, right? And then I can do it in my own house. I can do it in other relationships. And like, even for instance, like the phone thing for teenagers that go to public school is a daily battle. And we have all the restrictions that you could possibly have, but it still becomes a battle.
Yeah.
And it's a new world. That's how they actually communicate, through video games with their buddies.
Yeah.
Or the phone is text message and stuff. And so we limit it, but it's a constant battle. And then there'll be times where, like, hey, we're taking your phone away. It's the biggest punishment and the one that we respond to easily.
Totally.
And then what inevitably happens is we break, because I'm like, oh, I need to go get something done in the garage. If I give them the phone, I know they're going to be good for an hour.
Right.
And so I've even bent my own like rules or boundaries, which then the kids will just walk all over that. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm never following through with my word, which is really the only thing I had. Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, but I know that's not like somebody like as dramatic. The phone thing isn't as dramatic as somebody that's dealing with substance abuse, which is totally different. But it's in the same realm, I think.
That setting terminology, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's just an earlier forming version of that, really. I think, like, it's a gateway drug to the drugs, essentially. That's far too oversimplified, but the word codependency for me is an interesting one, because I feel like that's a realm of kind of this mental health relationship space where I don't have any education in that. And if someone asked me what that word meant, I wouldn't be able to give them a good example. And the part of what you just said that I don't understand, or maybe just haven't thought about enough, is why do we do those things, and what is the codependency word? What does that mean from my perspective? So, you know, when I've told Indy he can only play video games on Friday and Saturday night, and only if he's playing with his cousins or one of his friends. But then I need to get something done, and it's Monday afternoon, and I'm like, yeah, you can play for an hour right now so that I can have my free time to do whatever. When I do that,
that's not codependency at all.
No. Okay.
Like, codependency is like it's an unhealthy relationship pattern. It's where the person is like losing their identity, their self-worth, by prioritizing the other person's needs, right? So they're not taking care of themselves. They're always just walking around eggshells trying to take care of this other person. It's like you're doing like extreme caretaking. Think of that lady. I don't remember if you remember that lady that we used to go on. She was morbidly obese, and her mother was like 100 pounds and had a wheelbarrow full of Hostess snacks, ding dongs, cookies, cakes. She just dumped this on this person. And that is extreme of like, that's a codependency, unhealthy relationship where she wanted to make this person happy because she's like, Mom, I need more food. And this lady was 700 pounds, and there was no healthy boundaries there where she was getting her help. She was just enabling that on an extreme level, just dumping Hostess and cakes on her.
So the codependency side, on the side of the enabler, would be then their unwillingness to face making this person unhappy or uncomfortable by highlighting their behavior.
Now, weak boundaries
telling them to stop.
Yeah, weak boundaries are part of that, right? And then it can start, I think that's what I'm getting to. It can start when they're young, like weak boundaries, but when they get older and there's a failure to thrive, and they're 38 living in your house,
Right.
and you're still doing those same behaviors. That's where I don't know where the cutoff is, but
Yeah.
at some point that bird needs to get out of the nest, right? And so I think there are weak boundaries, like you're experiencing guilt or anxiety, hiding a partner's thing. When saying no, like you're feeling guilt when you say no, that's codependency. Like,
So for Indy walking in this direction, if he turns into a just a beast of a young man when I tell him he can't video game, if I start just letting him video game whenever he has an attitude, that would then, I think, be moving in that direction.
yes, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I am no expert, but I feel like if we break, like my young daughter has came out of the womb crying and hasn't stopped for 11 years, but she knows that that's a weakness of me, especially when I'm tired. When I'm coming home from work, she could just emotionally break down and say, "No, Daddy, please let me do this," and then I'll break.
You'll
I'll
do
break.
it, yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to hear this anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's terrible. I'm failing there, right? If I said no, this is the family rule. This is what it is. We have to stick with it, knowing that the heat is on. Like she's going to scream and cry. And I'm supposed to do is say, this is unacceptable. When you're ready to come out of your room, you're going to go up and cry it out as much as you want. We're always here for you, but you're not going to get the phone. And then what happens normally? It goes up there, screams, cries, kicks. And then 10 minutes later, she comes down. Can I have a snack? Yeah, baby, let's get you a snack.
Yeah. So there's got to be, in order to deal with that stuff appropriately, there has to be some level of sacrifice on our part. We have to deal with the negative reaction. We have to deal with the consequences of walking through that, which is probably going to be, it's going to be inconvenient. It's going to be uncomfortable, especially as the relationships get more advanced. Which is interesting to me as I'm just trying to process through this. It's interesting to me that there's, in life, I think everything is a parallel back to God and like the gospel story. I feel like this is probably really akin to, and forgive me, please, pastors listening and theologians, but if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is easily akin to like Jesus coming down, living his sinless life, and then dying to save us from our sins, right? To give us that opportunity to be saved. That process for him was difficult. It was arduous. It was painful. It was, it was separation. It was all those things. It wasn't just he came down and waved a magic wand and was like, oh, everything's great. He had to actually suffer. And so maybe in some small way, this is a little kind of window into that, our own little version. And that's probably a little bit heretical to say, but maybe it's our own little version of that sacrifice. Like we have to, in order to help the people that we love, we have to be willing to sacrifice and do the hard thing.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. There was an interesting YouTube video I saw that this guy was talking about. There's a lot of popular adages or sayings, and it's not biblical. It's not what you say, like God helps those who help themselves.
Help themselves, yeah.
And he's like, no, like come to me, to all who need rest. Like come to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like not help yourself, like come to me.
Right.
And there's like, oh, I hate the sin, love the sinner. And it's like, no, that's not what he said, and or money is the root of all evil, or this too shall pass. There's a lot of these common sayings.
Yeah.
Cleanliness is, but a lot of it is not that. He said that there will be strife, there will be struggle in this world, and that he alone is the savior, right? Like, and I'm pastors are going to fillet us for this, but I do think that a lot of that is like part of it, right? Like, oh, you got to help yourself, or like, no, you're going to have to. But I do think part of them working out their own problem, becoming self-sufficient, is our job. Like my job is not to make them the sandwich; it's to teach them how to make the sandwich so that they can do that themselves for eventually.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a weird cutoff because when they're the toddler, they're the elementary school, you're going to make them the sandwich. That's our job.
Right.
I don't know where it is, but I'm starting to realize that, hey, they need more responsibility and they need to take more action, and not just because my wife is home and she's a homemaker doesn't mean that they can scream at her from upstairs and say, get me a glass of water.
Right.
That's absurd, right?
Right. Right.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
And I have to correct that, in my
Mm.
opinion.
Mm. Yeah, it's that dichotomy, right? It's that realization that if we do those things and let those things become a thing when they're young, all of those things are going to create a pattern, create a personality, a belief system, whatever, that when they're older is going to start to have real consequences. If your kid is a butthole and is demanding water and video games from upstairs, that's got some really limited, localized consequences. But when they become an adult and they move out of the world and are now on their own, suddenly those consequences become serious and life altering. We have to deal with the difficulty, the pain, the extra work in order to teach them those lessons and pass them those things on when they're young, so that when they're old, there's a verse about this. Teach a
man to fish.
Not that one.
Oh.
That's another one of those things that I don't think is in the Bible.
Yeah, no, it's not.
But it sounds like it is. It's something like teach a young man the way he should go, and when he grows old, he shall never depart from it, or something like that. I'm butchering that paraphrase, but
there's definitely an interesting dynamic. I don't know why I do this, but sometimes I think it's douchey that first responder or the fire wife for their specific challenges. But the longer I get into it, I realize that is a thing. And so, for example, I've been working with some guys on the home front, and I'm asking them, what's your typical morning like when you get home? And it's like, well, it's the same thing over and over. I have a Celsius and 4 Zins on the drive home. I listen to punk rock music or death metal. And then I come in and I notice that all the dishes are still there and the laundry's not good and the lawn needs mowing. So I just start going in and start doing all this stuff.
Knocking them out.
I'm like, how does that usually go? Not good. And all of a sudden she's pissed off for some reason, And so I feel
sounds vaguely familiar.
I can't talk for the women folk out there, but I feel like they think less than oh, I didn't do my job, or you think I didn't do my job while you were gone. And then he's not connecting. He's still in fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's still just coming in hot. But this literally just happened to me. I was on for 3 days. So working a paramedic, super busy squad in the middle day. And then the second day we had a commercial building fire from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Of course.
I was physically done.
Yeah.
And hadn't slept in 3 days. And I come home and it's just the tornado of emotion, a tornado. And instead of doing, I think, the appropriate response, is I should have communicated on the way home that I'm at a 1 out of 10 right now.
Yeah.
I should have communicated that.
Yeah.
Instead, I was fasting with Zen and caffeine on board. And I'm coming in and everyone's losing their mind. And at some point I was just like, stop, everybody shut up. You know what I mean? You sit over there. You sit over there. One at a time. Everybody's going to have a turn. And I'm just and then they're all crying. And I'm like, you first, what's your problem? Let me fix it. You, what's your problem? Let me fix it. You, what's your problem? Let me fix it. And then I'm like, can I take a shower and take a dump and take a nap? Why can't you guys figure this out? It was the worst thing. The day didn't go well, right? And then by the end of the day, I had to apologize. I am sorry, but I know that I know that I have a bad night protocol. I have all these things, but sometimes none of those things in the middle of the storm. There was no way I was going to go sit in the ice, then go sauna, and then go get kettlebell work in, and then breathe, pray, and meditate. I was a storm, and I walked into a storm. But I think the only saving grace is that I recognized it. I had to apologize immediately to all 3 of them, and then I said I had to explain to them that I'm extremely tired, and I'm probably not going to be the guy to make dinner tonight. And I like to try to go to bed early if possible. And it's not an excuse for my behavior. I can do better. And then the next day, guess what? I had a full night's sleep, and the next day the sun was shining and everything's great. But our own advice that we talk to guys, we have bad night protocols that we had Evan Hallquist on.
Yeah.
We have all these tools that we can have as far as pulling over, turning your head backwards, doing Wim Hof breathing.
Right.
I did none of these things.
Right.
But I think sometimes, I don't know how you feel about this, when the storm is here, it's probably not appropriate for me to just go check out and do all these things. Like
Yeah.
they needed something, but
right.
Not yelling, but they needed something.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality of just about everything. I mean, we can have the best plans and protocols and all that kind of stuff, but there are times and places where that stuff's not appropriate.
Yeah.
And where it's not possible when you're getting ready to go on an international flight with your family, which I've never done, actually. I shouldn't say international, but when you're getting ready to go on a flight and you're trying to do Wim Hof breathing in the airport with your family and your kids there, like, you can't do that. They're going to be embarrassed. You look like a weirdo. Like,
no, TSA is going to come to you.
Yeah. Someone's going to report you, and you're going to go to the back room. I've never been to the back room, but I have tried to do Wim Hof breathing in an airport, and my family was annoyed, and it ruined that leg of the trip. So don't do that. But yeah, there are those moments where you gotta man up and deal with it. And dude, just last week, I came home after being at work for 4 days in a row, and I started doing the dishes thing. And this is literally something that we talk about on this podcast frequently, and it comes up. We talk about it at the station and at the program, and I'm doing that thing, and she's like, "Hey, can you not do that right now?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just got to finish this. I got to finish. There's only a few left." And I finished them. This is the dumbest thing you can do, right?
Yeah,
just like, don't start your day like that. I know that. And then B, if she says to you, "Hey, can you not do that right now?" You better stop in that moment. Not because she's going to get angry and fly off the handle at you, but because you should realize in that moment, I should realize in that moment, this isn't what she needs. This isn't what she wants. I'm not doing anything good. So time to pause and forget myself and the mode that I'm in of like, oh, I got to check this box. I got to check this box on the checkoff sheet. But I finished the dishes and, then felt dumb about it later because it didn't become a huge issue. But it was a moment where I was like, why? And I didn't have the excuse like you. I didn't. There's no busy squad.
No, but I think we do these things to bring order and chaos so that your life doesn't seem unmanageable. When I know where the spoons are, and I know the dishes are put away, and I know where my t-shirts are, and I'm organized, I feel like we have to do that. And a fire station, for 57,000 years, the spoons are in the same place. The forks are in the same place. Like, the dishes are done at night and the dishwasher is clean in the morning. And I think that brings order to chaos because we never know what happens. I think that happens naturally.
Yeah.
And so many times I think like we feel like a guest when we come home, and I have to look for the toaster, or the dishes are not put away, and whatever. I'm like, you can feel like a guest in your own home, and maybe you're not needed. And so you try to bring order, which doesn't work either. But I would suggest, like, and I'm talking to myself here, we've talked about this before, but maybe like literally coming home and putting your to-do list in your pocket, and then and then like having some couch time, or saying, what do you need? And letting her vent, letting the kids vent, letting whatever they need to. If you're tired, no problem. You're probably not going to fall asleep. Just sit on the couch and chill out.
I have had the hardest time, and I can't remember who told us this, but it was one of the guests on our podcast at some point, but your example of letting your family know on your way home, like, hey, I'm at a 1 out of 10 right now.
Yeah.
Doing that communication. I've thought about that many times and have only done it a couple. And I think there's a part of me that I think that's a little bit of pride, where, especially working where I do now, because the reality is I work at an incredibly slow fire station right now. I'm working a lot of extra days, but they're all here. I'm not getting up at night. I'm not running a ton of calls.
It's still taxing.
But it is still taxing for sure. I'm not going to discount that. I mean, I go home and I feel tired, but it's in a different way. Anyway, but I still hesitate. Not only hesitate, I just don't do it, to let my wife know, hey, I'm feeling this way. This is kind of where I'm at today. And I think that's because I don't want to admit to any weakness, right?
Yeah, but you're an Army Ranger. You're a firefighter. We don't say you don't know.
I'm not weak. But then then what happens is I get home and I'm clearly not 100%, and I make that immediately apparent. And then instead of having that knowledge ahead of time and some expectations on, how the interaction in the morning or the day might go, instead of setting that up appropriately, I've now just blown everything up by throwing, by using it it's a hand grenade now. Instead of like I sent a message ahead of time, now it's a hand grenade that I just cooked off in the kitchen. Dude, my computer's so hot right now. Let me angle my fan. It's not smoking, but
you're not gonna like it. But I think I got that from Brene Brown, who was like,
"Oh, that's where, yeah. I don't know who that is, so I can't not like it."
This is like some sort of Oprah lady that talks to people. Women love her, but I did think that was valuable. Now I like it because when we communicate that, if you're at a 1 out of 10, you put a stat to it, you put a number to it, or a 2 out of 10 every day for multiple days or months. Well, we need to address that. That's depression, right? But if it's totally called for and you're on for 4 or 5 days and it was taxing and you couldn't really get comfortable in a twin bed sharing it with 4 snoring guys, and you're at a 2 out of a 10 and you need a nap, that's totally appropriate, right? And I think at the same time, like, like if she, sometimes it'll gas me up. I could be at a 4 or 5 and I'll ask her first and she's like, I'm at a 3. I know I can suck it up. I can be like, cool, I got the 7.
Right.
I'm at 4 or 5. I can easily get the 7 today. I got the rest. And that's where I'm like, and she's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, good. I got the 7, I'm really at a 4 or 5, but I say I got the 7, and that's where I think we can come in as take the lion's share sometimes. But that strategy is very helpful on my drive home. It's just to say, hey, you need anything on the way in? No? Cool. I'm like, cool. I'm at a 1. We didn't sleep for 3 days. And she's like, all right, if she's at a 1 too, then we say, all plans are canceled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, we're not going to your mom's house.
Yeah.
No, we're not going surfing. No, we're not hosting people at our house. Like, all the plans are canceled. We are going to sit on the couch and vegetate or have fun out in the pool or just sit in the sun and breathe.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies, I'm pivoting.
No.
Have you seen the Old Henry movie?
Old Henry?
Old Henry.
No, I never even heard of it.
Oh, dude, I gotta get you on this Old Henry. Do you know who the actor, what's the guy's name? He was in like Buster Scruggs and he's kind of this character country guy.
Oh, I can see his face, but I don't know his name.
He is the lead in this Western shoot 'em up type of thing. And I can't give you too much, but you have to watch this movie, Old Henry. There's some violence, full disclosure.
Well, I mean, I love violence.
It's a Western. It's like a Western.
If a Western isn't violent, it's not worth watching.
Tim Blake Nelson. I looked it up. That's his name. You will not know his name, but you will know his face and voice immediately.
Yeah, I immediately can see him and hear him. He's very, very distinctive. Okay,
it's awesome. So when we had a day, we were both at a 1. The kids went to their friend's house, and then they were riding bikes and stuff. And I was just vegetating. And I was like, "Oh, this looks like a relaxing thing to fall asleep to." It wasn't relaxing, and we didn't fall asleep, but we thoroughly enjoyed this Western shoot 'em up. It was awesome.
I'm gonna check it out. How old is it?
I don't know. I think it's old.
It doesn't matter. I'm gonna check it out. I love Westerns.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. Old Henry.
Fantastic.
Well, that was the only thing on my mind. I don't know if you got anything else, but I was talking about tough love, enabling, not coming in as the tornado and adding fuel to the fire.
I don't want to go too far down this road because we talked about this a lot, but the thing that I keep thinking about and have been asking people about is where's the line? And for this, with the codependency, the enabling side of it, like thinking about, kids, family, close friends. Okay. All that kind of starts to make sense to me. But then I go into work world and I look at guys at work with behaviors that I know are destructive or less than ideal. And it's like, where is my place there? And where is my place there from fireman to fireman, from fireman up the chain to a captain? When do I say something? That type of thing. It becomes a lot more complicated and also difficult to talk about on the podcast because, of course, if I'm witnessing negative behavior, I can't talk about it here because there are guys that listen to this podcast that are going to go, oh, he's talking about so-and-so, right? And we don't do that here.
No,
So it's an interesting thing because there's a couple of, well, one specifically, but there's one example of a guy at my station that I would love to, or I feel almost compelled to talk to him about something in his behavior, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I don't know if it's my place. I don't know if it's, I don't know. And so then again, that's another one of those interesting questions, like where is the line? And I'm not personally responsible for the men that I work with and their lifestyles. I don't want to moralize, I don't want to say, thou shalt not do this. If they don't have the same belief system as me, then, I get all that. But at the same time, like, I care about these dudes, they're my brothers.
Yeah.
Right. Just to one extent or another, not to the level where I would call you or like Mike Kenobi or somebody like that my brother, but still, there is that. So it creates that weird, that weird aspect of our job, which I think is pretty unique and really just exists in the first responder military community, where we have these closer levels of bonding. It's kind of that word sounds a little soft, but I'll let it stand. Anyway,
camaraderie.
You understand what I'm saying. Camaraderie, that's a better word than bonding.
Yeah, there's nobody knows the answer to this, right? But I feel very blessed, but it's been purposeful that I surround myself with stellar people. Right. And I just have nothing but all-stars. And the reality is I'm the lamest dude on our team, like as far as professionally goes. And they are talking to me about, hey, you should probably stop talking and start doing. You know what I mean? Like, right. And so I'm glad I need those people to call me out and do that. But I have been able to talk to people when I see something that's either morally or legally wrong, or I see something that's a glaring issue that everyone sees and everyone talks about, but nobody says anything. I have had the opportunity to like sit, if I have a one-on-one and I'm able to just pose a question. Have you ever thought about this? Is this ever an issue for you? If he says, no, I got it all figured out, I said, all right, bro, have a great day. But if he does have an ounce of humility or say, yeah, this is an issue, and I said, do you ever want to talk about it? And not coming from a point of like, I know better than you, but just having a safe guy that he can talk to and then say, hey, I'll keep it in between us, but tell me what's going on. And if you'd like some suggestions, I can offer them. If not, you got we'll go there. But if he doesn't want help and if you ask him and says, no, I got it all figured out, well, then cool. Then we tried.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think for me, the biggest point I can take out of that is to recognize that if I feel like I should be addressing something or having that conversation, I need to do it in the way that you just described. I think that's perfect. And also need to do it early, because something that I do all too often is I procrastinate and I hold off and I'll let something kind of sit and kind of smolder, and then all of a sudden it blows up.
Totally.
And so then instead of having that type of conversation, I'm at the table one day and I go, dude, what are you doing? And I just aggressively address it that way. And it's less than ideal. It's not effective.
Yeah. And the lamest part of our culture is we're the first people to put down everybody else when they're not there. And your dad, Pastor Jeff Lilly, said, it always sticks with me that he's like, I'm working this year on not saying ill of anybody. And I'm like, wow, what a challenge. I walk in 5 minutes and they're all around the table yelling about the B shift or whatever.
I would talk a lot less at work.
But I do notice that you've done this well, because you've taught, and like everyone talks crap about the new guy or what he's not doing or how he's not doing it. And it's our job to teach him. He doesn't know this. I didn't know anything. I'm green as hell. So I'm like, he's doing the toilets wrong. Like, hey, buddy, this is how we do the toilets here. And this come with me, follow me, put some gloves on. This is how we're going to do it. And we're going to do this all together at 11 a.m. sharp, you know? And I think if you teach him the way, or if you don't like that hose layer, the way he throws the ladder, then it's your job to teach him that way and not talk about it, but actually do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point.
No. We're lucky. We have some all-stars and some veterans, so it's not really issues. I'm literally the lamest dude on the team by far.
Whatever, dude. I don't believe that.
The only thing I'm good at is cutting cars. Yeah. You need a guy who cut cars? Cool. Everything else I know nothing about.
Well, I've forgotten all that myself at this point. It's been too long.
Hey, we have our 6th. We've done this for 6 years, Noel.
That's wild. We're getting old.
6 years. Noel and I had an idea to do a stair climb in honor of the 343 firefighters and more civilians and cops that we can name that passed away on 9/11. It was a pivotal moment for both Noel and I. It was our generation's Pearl Harbor. And we had an idea to honor those fallen, and we climb 110 floors on Stairmasters. And it's been one of the probably my favorite events of the year because all the families come together. We see many of the same families every year. And this year, it's Sunday, 9/13, not 9/11, Sunday, 9/13, after 9/11. And it's going to be at our own LA County Fire Museum. And I'm really excited about it because if you haven't been to the LA County Fire Museum, it's a really cool spot. They actually have artifacts from 9/11, including a hydrant that was there, multiple different things. And so I'm really excited about this. I want to shout out Chief Goodshow, Mike Goodshow, who's been really supportive, and a lot of other people. It's kind of cool having it at home, dude, in our backyard.
Yeah.
Because we've always done it in various locations in Orange County and Riverside County. And this kind of feels like home for the 25th anniversary, where I know there's already multiple rigs that are close by that are going to stop by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So I really hope and encourage you guys can do that. I'll give a link it's all free, but I'll give a link to Nole so he can put it in the show notes. We do ask you to register so we know how many people are coming and how much food and drinks to bring.
Yep. It's going to be rad, dude. The museum is rad. It's the perfect spot for this event. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better spot.
No. And Noel, if somebody is worried about the fitness level of this thing, what would you say?
Oh man, that's a fantastic question. Most people do the stair climb slick, we'll call it, in just PT gear and shoes, right? So that's an option. There's also the option to do less than 110 floors. There's nothing that says you have to hit 110 floors. That's an arbitrary number, based on the amount of floors in the tower. But there's nothing that says that if you don't climb that many floors, you're not honoring the fallen. No. I mean, if you were 80 years old and you got in there and climbed 5 floors, that would be heroic and would do just as much to honor, because it's about the activity that you're doing. It's about the heart that you put into it. It's about what you're actually there physically doing. You don't even have to climb. A lot of guys bring their families, and a lot of guys, their whole family climbs, but some of them it's only mom and dad, or it's only dad, or it's only mom. It doesn't matter. There's definitely no pressure. It's not a competition. It's definitely not the type of thing where we're posting times and seeing who got the fastest. Yes, there will probably be guys there who climb in full turnouts with BAs on their backs, but that's not for everybody. It's not a fitness event. It's not a competition, like I already said. And just coming out and being there to support is rad. You don't even have to climb. We just want to see you guys and hang out with you and have a moment of remembrance. It's very cool. It's a very positive event, very patriotic, and it's a good memorial. But yeah, fitness level, don't worry about it. It's not something that you need to train for beforehand. No. We never do.
Never.
I mean, I don't have access to a snare machine, so not a concern. Is it fun to be able to go and climb 110 floors if you can physically do it? Yeah, but I mean, if
we're paying the man,
10 or 20 floors is your maximum, then rad. Yeah. Do that.
And we've had multiple people come out and do like 10 floors and ring the bell.
Yeah.
If you are a fireman, what you want to know is, like, if you want climbing gear, just bring a fresh, clean pair of turnouts. I take all my stuff out of it.
Yeah.
And I wear turnouts and a helmet. And we do have very old, unoperable SCBAs that you can wear as a weight pack. And you climb 110 floors. It takes about 30 minutes for most people on average. So you're doing 30 minutes of cardio. And you can make this miserable and go at a level 15 the whole time. Or what I do is tend to go at a level 5 or 6 and honor the fallen and put in some work and just pay the man. But it's very cool because in most of the years, like, the whole Lilly family will go together, the whole Welsh family go together, the whole Tebow family will go together. He's in turnouts and the wife and kids are in PT gear.
Yeah.
And everybody's cheering each other on. We do have a ceremony that starts at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. And so they'll be climbing before and after that. But you want to be there for that. And then, so when you get off, there will be a lanyard that we have provided, and it says a member of the FDNY that passed away on 9/11, and you are remembering that as you're climbing. It's in front of you. And when you get off, you ring this big loud bell and you scream out his name. And it's a very poignant, powerful day for me because we are remembering. We said we'd never forget, and I'm so glad we get to do this every year.
Yeah, amen. Link is in the show notes. Go sign up.
Let's go. Well, thank you guys for listening to our ramblings. We love that you are listening. It's always very humbling to hear who does listen. If you do like what you hear, leave us a review, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the show. It helps us out quite a bit. And we'll see you guys next time. This has been the Fire You Carry podcast.
You know, one of our program guys, one of the guys on the team, Kalen Plouffe.
Oh,
he sent me a screenshot a few days ago, and it's I think he was in Spotify, one of the music players. But he was on My Epic's kind of artist page, and their top song with the most plays is the song Hail, which, if you're not aware, if you're new to the show or you haven't been paying attention, that's our song. That's the music that we use at the beginning and end of the podcast. Now, of course, the actual version has words. Link is in the show notes. If you ever want to go listen to it, you just click and listen. But he said, every time I see this, I like to think that it's their top song because of all the fans of the Fire You Carry podcast that are listening to it. And I was like, yeah. I would love it if that was true. And maybe it is. I don't know, but it's super rad. And, you know, we haven't said it in a while, but I will say big thank you to Face Down Records.
Yeah, buddy.
And Mr. and Mrs. Dunn specifically for giving us permission all those years ago to use that song. It's been the best. I don't know that I could ever change it.
No.
At this point,
Hail
that is the Fire You Carry podcast. So
and I still air drum to it every single time.
I mean, you have to.